Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Created Economy. I am Ken Yeung. I'm the co-host here, and welcome to episode 37 of the show. This is our weekly interview series where we chat with the players from the creator economy at large and discuss the key topics impacting growth of the industry. And joining me is my bestie, my BFF, although he won't really admit it these days, is Greg. Hey, Greg, how's it going?
Is this thing still going? I thought we canceled this show. What happened?
Canceled the show. Yeah. I see how it is. You're always coming with excuses. I see how.
Sorry. Calls. The problem when you work from home, right, is that just calls just run right into each other, and there's no like room or gaps, and you can't blame traffic for things or building commute time for anything, so you just get packed all the way in.
As a startup founder, you're always hustling, man. I mean, as Gary Vaynerchuk calls it, it's the hustle culture. So you gotta be all.
There's a lot of hustling going on these days.
Cool. Well, anyway, so a little bit of housekeeping before we bring on our guest for today's episode. This is Created Economy. We go live on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. You can find out more about us at created.show. We also stream live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So pick your poison, although that will soon change. We are moving away from live broadcasts to pre-recorded. More about that later on. You can, again, follow us everywhere on social media at Created Economy on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, eventually, sometimes, and also on Flipboard. That's where we post all of our creator economy news that we find on the internet. All right. And you can also see longer form content and notes on our website at createdeconomy.com. Okay. So episode 37 for March 9th, 2022. We are proud to have, and I'm really excited because, as somebody who loves journalism, it's always interesting to talk to people in big tech and all these big companies and hear what they're up to. We're going to have Alexandra join us. She is the creator content and partnership lead at Pinterest. And this is a pretty big deal because a lot of people think in the creator economy space that when it comes to the major platforms that you have to be on are YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Snap. And I think I might be missing one or two others. But really, like, Pinterest has been at the forefront of the creator economy space for a longer period of time, especially bridging the offline creators to the online. So very excited to have her join us. And without further ado, let me bring her on. Hello, Alexandra. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
By the way, fun fact, you don't know this, Alex, but Ken's only two companies that he's ever wanted on the show were LinkedIn and Pinterest. And so,
you're doing them live. I'm sitting there listening.
Now you've just ruined the show because, the worst thing for the dog is to catch the rabbit, right?
You've peaked.
I'm done. I'm retiring. I'm going out with a bang.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me on, first of all. I've never done a live podcast, which sounds really exciting. I'm a little bit nervous, trying to keep it PG, of course, but no, I'm thrilled to be here.
We even have sound effects if you want to go with it.
Oh my goodness.
I was actually going to say, let's try this again. And everyone, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Alexandra to the show. Wait, hold on. Oh.
Hi.
That's the actual audience at Ken's apartment.
Exactly. They're often this live studio audience. I should have an on-air sign over here somewhere. You can't see it, but it's really a live studio audience of like my parents and my family just looking at me weird right now.
So, are you in San Francisco, by the way?
I'm in Los Angeles right now. Yes.
Oh, you're in Los Angeles. Okay. So I used to live across the street from the Pinterest building in San Francisco.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever pop over for lunch? Those lunches are a dream.
Yeah, we did some work at my last company with Pinterest as well. And I know the area well. It was a shared building with Airbnb, I think, for a while, but then Airbnb had like 3 other buildings
I know everyone is growing. Pinterest, I believe, now has two buildings in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I've never been based out of the LA office, so I have a bit of a unique journey because I started in our Toronto office and
Oh,
then transitioned to LA during the
How do you
pandemic.
spell gray?
Gray. Well,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, now Ken promised me no gotcha questions, and now you're like, are we doing Great
I was
Britain
thinking how
English
Canadian you
or
were.
first of all,
is it GRAY or GREY in the
All right, how do
US?
you spell color?
oh,
CLOUR.
No. All right.
COLOUR.
what about
Color.
what about center?
Sorry. No, sorry.
Spelling bee.
We have to think, we can't allow
Can
fake
you use
news.
it in a sentence? Can you use it in a sentence?
First of all, I promised I would not give asking any gotcha questions. Greg just showed up late, so I
Totally fair.
I missed the part where we said no gotcha questions.
I love it. I love it.
it's see, that's all part of the whole interview process. It's we coincidentally have one person not be a part of the intro part, so they can
The
feign.
liability is off you, Greg. There we go.
Ooh, see, I'm the wild card.
Well,
All right.
why don't we dive right into things? Alexander, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us, what are you doing at Pinterest and what excites you about the creator economy?
Of course. I mean, so hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Alex Nikolai. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And as you mentioned, Ken, I lead our creator content and partnerships team here at Pinterest, and I'm based in LA. And I am somebody that's super passionate about pop culture, internet culture, content insights and trends. And again, Ken, we were chatting before we went live. Not only, am I working at Pinterest leading this content and these partnerships with creators here, but I'm immersed in the creator world myself. I have my own podcast where I talk about pop culture and internet culture. Like, I'm very much immersed in this environment. And that's really what gets me excited about it, because I've watched this evolution of the creators economy go from a space where nobody wanted to give creators time of day to where now their earning potential is so high and their reach and influence can be so strong. So it's been very exciting to see that evolution and then to also be a part of it and help support the continuation of it.
So what is your interest in technology, right? I mean, you talk about, where were you before Pinterest? And then
I mean, we could go through my whole resume, but I have always been a very curious person. And then
We're going back to grade 8.
Yes, but given my age, without revealing my age, I am one of these millennials who I had a childhood before the internet. I saw the, early onset of the internet. When I went to college, I, majored both in, oh, this is so embarrassing. I majored in media studies, but also we called it new media, was digital media.
We had that when I was in college.
You had that, yes.
Right. So this was new media. So I majored in that and computer science, if you'll believe it. But so I really was always just very curious, loved to tinker around with, a little HTML code here or there, and curious about media and how it impacted our culture. Because I think what really where it stemmed from was that I saw the shift. I was a part of the shift from pre-internet to a post-internet world. And now where the internet is a part of all of our daily lives.
And then, so when you joined Pinterest, you started off as a creator manager.
Yes. Right? Yep. So I started. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I started as a creator manager in Toronto.
Can we define creators, I guess, from the Pinterest point of view? Because, I think as Ken sort of said in the intro, I think a lot of people, when they think about Pinterest, we would certainly use the word curation, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe not the most natural verb is not creating per se, right? So, and I get there's a lot of good reason to see them as creators, but I'm kind of curious about just what does creator Pinterest think about, I guess, when they define a creator sort of in your ecosystem? Is that every user is a creator, or is it a special kind of user in your ecosystem?
So, you know what? That's a really great question. And I'm going to have a very long-winded answer for this because I think, first of all, when we think about who a creator is, it really goes back to our mission of bringing everyone the inspiration to create a life they love. We want those inspiration makers. Those are our creators, right? But somebody who's an everyday user can absolutely evolve into someone who is a creator. So that's not to say that there are these siloed audiences that we're looking at, but we do recognize that some people start at different places. But we all have the opportunity to evolve into a creator if that's who we want to be. We also know that there are people, as you said, who are more curation based or they're ideas based. And I really would say, take a step back, and I would ask both of you and even the listeners and people watching, how did you use Pinterest when it first started?
So when it first started, I think, and this is a conversation that I've had many times with Pinterest, when I was writing for Venture Beta and the Next Web, is at first it was a social bookmarking site, right? I mean,
Right.
it's a pin board. You just, that's where the idea, the bread and butter, that foundational DNA were pins, and they still are. It has since evolved into being this visual search engine type of thing. I'm not sure what the official description is at this point, but it has evolved into so many different parts. It's, I guess,
It absolutely has. And, sort of as you're saying, Ken, it's like when you first went onto Pinterest, it was somewhere that you would bookmark, you would save ideas. But really, we recognize that that's how users adapted into enjoying their time on Pinterest. But we also recognize that, beyond the fact that people want to style an item of clothing, find a recipe, or they're moving into a new home and they want to use it as this visual discovery engine, that's what we call it and we think about it. We recognize that those behaviors are also developing into new behaviors, and we want to evolve with those changes because now it feels as though you don't just want to save an idea. You want to know the step-by-step of how to do it. You want to know where to buy those exact items, and you want somebody to show you how to do that, and somebody that you trust, aka a creator. So we've really tried in these past 11 years, understand where we are. And now we're going through this major transition from this place, not only where you save that content, but also to a place where you can create content and build an engaged audience.
so going back to, you started out as a creator manager in Toronto, and then you've essentially you started this first ever position doing inclusion.
Yes. Yeah.
Why is that so important? And then I want to dive further down your history and talk about what you're doing now. So let's talk about the inclusion aspect, because I think that's something. Is this something for and was this an internal facing role, or was this how did you bring the external and internal together to make everyone feel like they were welcome at Pinterest?
Yeah, of course. I'm really happy to talk about this even on a personal level because, I will be very transparent with everyone here. I'm a mixed race person. I love working with creators. I love advocating for underrepresented creators and ensuring that everybody has a seat at the table. That is something I'm extremely passionate about on a personal level. And when, we saw this evolution even of the world in 2020 during the pandemic, where people were starting to have conversations around inclusivity through, brands, through products, things like that. We were already doing that as creator managers at Pinterest, but we didn't have anybody sort of bringing that all together in a global capacity to really oversee and ensure that we were putting measures and sort of the threads were being weaved throughout the teams that are all around the globe with Pinterest to really ensure that we had like a line of sight on what we were doing. So through my work in Toronto and what I was doing to ensure that we were inclusive and we gave underrepresented creators seats at the table, I think that internally at Pinterest, we recognized there was an opportunity to do that at a larger scale. And that's really how that role came to be. It's really, where I felt confident in raising my hand to be like, I want to go for this role. What do I need to do? Who do I need to speak to, et cetera? And I honestly went through the interview process like anybody else would, but I think that my strength really was lying in the fact that I was so personally passionate about this that I had an additional layer of understanding of how we could connect those dots of creators to also inclusivity.
Would you say that somebody in that capacity, in that role, would help the company avoid situations such as with TikTok and how Black creators felt their talents, their dances were appropriated by others without giving due credit, to avoid those type of situations, kind of proactively assist with those type of things? I'm trying to figure out like how companies could have somebody in this role help them avoid,
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And I feel like that could be, that can be a very obvious sort of, approach to things. But I think really it's not even about avoiding something, it's about amplifying.
Mhm.
And it wasn't the goal to, avoid any mistakes
Right.
or avoid any potential issues or, claims, et cetera. It was really, we want to be proactive about this. We have people internally that are already doing this. We need to bring them together to make sure that we are all aligned in what our mission is when it comes to inclusivity on Pinterest, because we just feel very strongly and passionately that we lead and we are the leaders in market in this environment.
So let's dive into what you're doing now,
Yeah.
and then we can dive, and then we can get to the meat of what's Pinterest creator strategy here. What is your role specifically now at Pinterest, and why is this a big deal for creators to pay attention to?
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, a long title. I thought that's why you made the podcast an hour, because it was going to take the whole time to say it, but thank
Pretty
you
much,
so
yes.
much.
So we actually have an after hour session.
Amazing.
This week,
Amazing.
the real bit of the interview here. So
No, I think what's been so exciting, as we've said in the past year and a half, we've really been working to set the foundation of this idea of a creator audience and building for creators on Pinterest. And with that, we've seen really strong successes. Speaking of my previous role, we launched our creator fund, which was a fund that we set forward to, again, amplify underrepresented creators and give them tools, education, and financing to develop their craft and talent. And so we've put in these different tools and programs in place, but we've reached a point now where we want to start telling everybody about it. And we want to start going out and finding like-minded partners, like-minded creators to help us continue to evolve. So that's really the nature of what my role is. It's part content marketing. How can we tell the story of who the creator is now that we are living, breathing, working with these creators in collaboration to build a platform that serves their needs? So, when I think of content marketing, a very simple example could be like telling creator success stories or case studies about how creators are performing and where they found success on right to do that in the past when we didn't have this, a good chunk of time to be able to tell those stories. And now we feel we're at a place that we do. And then, in partnership with that, we have partnerships where it's like, who are the brands in market that we want to be working with, we want to be showing up with? Where are the industry events that we want to be at and bring creators to give them, again, that seat at the table, to give them that visibility and be able to help amplify the work that not only we're doing, but the creators and the brands that we feel are very like-minded are also doing.
Greg, do you have any questions for Alexandra?
Yeah, I guess diving a little bit more into this concept of creation, I guess, in the Pinterest platform. A lot of folks may not be aware of like kind of the breadth of tools, because I think, to Ken's point, sort of in the earlier incarnations of Pinterest, it was sort of like link aggregation and some of these other things, but it's certainly evolved tremendously over time. What can you speak a little bit about, like, I guess the breadth of offerings now, like that of content that folks may discover on Pinterest, and I guess also a little bit about like the tools that creators have available to them to sort of like to create like at Pinterest now?
Absolutely, of course. And I think what's also been very cool about this creator journey is, a lot of the tools that we've built and the programs that we've put in place have actually been in collaboration with creators. So we've at times had these, creator advisory councils, that we'll call them, that are providing feedback in real time on our product development as we're building it to ensure that we're building with creators in mind. So, going back to the idea of where Pinterest is now from where it began, as I mentioned, we want to be this place where people want to know step-by-step something to do. They want to know where they can find everything and buy it. And they want an expert or a thought leader that they trust to show them. And that really culminated in us launching and introducing our idea pins. And so if you're not familiar with idea pins, those are our multi-page pin format. They include video, picture, but they allow creators to show users a step-by-step process around an idea all in one place. So, you want to learn how to make the perfect French omelet. You're going to see beginning, middle, and end, all in a multi-page pin format. So that's the major way that we've, listened to creators, we've recognized their behaviors, and we've evolved our tools and our platform to make sure that they can create consistently. We also, have launched into this idea of takes, which I'm also really excited about because I love engaging with my community. I think, both of you in what you do outside of this podcast as well, it feels like you also have a very strong understanding that for, the way people's behaviors are online and especially creators, it comes down to building a community. And so with takes, what is so fun is that on an idea pin, you can, slide over and add a takes functionality, which actually allows the people engaging with your content and your community to show you their take on the idea that you just created. So you make that French omelet, somebody can click and they can add their version of the French omelet and so on and so forth. And it's really just like a fun, engaging way to interact with your audience and inspire them to take action on your idea and make it their own. So those are a couple of fun ways from like a tool standpoint, in product standpoint, in terms of creating and how people can really tap into Pinterest, and where I geek out because, as I told you, the insights are where it's at for me. We have our annual Not Yet Trending report, which launches every December. It's called Pinterest Predicts. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it, but it's Pinterest Predicts. Yeah, PinterestPredicts.com. It's my favorite thing. And I was so fortunate to be able to work on it last year leading up to this year. And, we share a forecast on top trends around everything from beauty, fashion, home, food, parenting, lifestyle, travel, et cetera. And, we're already seeing those trends that we predicted come to life this year. We had dopamine dressing, which is really bold colors and patterns and prints. Carolyn Vazana, who's one of our top fashion creators, is really tapping into that and bringing those trends to life early in the content that she's making on Pinterest, which, in turn increases her engagement and her reach on platform as users start searching for those things. And then, there's things like Nailscapes, which is the fun nail design, which we're all doing now. But I highly encourage creators, brands, businesses, advertisers to check out PinterestPredicts.com because it is an untapped resource just waiting for people where you can create content that, we feel very confident is going to perform. So there's that piece.
I had a question actually, I guess related to sort of this arena.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in an influencer space for a long time now. And, I've always sort of advised people that, influencers in general, I think, have their pulse on sort of like what's going on in like society right now and what's relevant to people. And that, sort of like one of the functions of a good creator or influencer, I think, is just ultimately as like as an advisor, right?
Yes,
Or
totally.
consultant, right? Like to not necessarily delivering the creative part, right? But just even advising in an arena, kind of like a Pinterest Predicts. Is that no problem? Mine is here, so.
My dog, so sorry.
Both of you are supposed to show your dogs. That's the whole point of video calls these days.
If I show him, he's gonna stay.
Totally fine. I don't have one, so I can't show one.
Come here, buddy. Always the star of the show. This is Chaco.
Wait, what kind of dog is that?
A toy poodle.
I have a Multi-Poo, so yeah.
There we go. Okay, bud. You got your 15 minutes.
But just one, I guess I'd love for you to unpack like monetization, I guess, for creators, like sort of in the Pinterest ecosystem.
Oh my gosh.
But I was also curious, is this part of it, right? Like, because like these it feels like there's a interesting opportunity for advisory boards and sort of like for these, state of the state kind of things, like among like a brand oriented, like being able to connect, and I think this is where many of the large platforms have failed, I think, to help creators as much as they can here. because they've never provided the direct connection mechanism like to the creators themselves, right? Like oftentimes it's through an intermediary or a manager or someone else. And I feel like, the brand is discovering that creator on your platform, and then they have to go some other way to get to them, right? So I'm just kind of curious, is that part of the relationship as well? And then just more broadly, like what are the other monetization avenues that are sort of open to creators today?
Absolutely. And yes, I mean, this is again, working on Pinterest Predicts last year for me was so excited because this was the first time that we really brought creators into the fold. And we said, we are going to align creators who are doing amazing things in their markets from a global perspective with these trends and feature them as ones to watch. But beyond that, to your point, Greg, we also said, as advertisers are coming and diving into predicts and brands are looking at the different trends, we can also directly connect them through our sales team and through our partnerships team to creators to help bring that to life in their market. So there's absolutely an opportunity for that. And, we've also launched things like our paid partnership feature where creators can kind of sign on and ensure that they are letting everyone know that they're getting paid to create that piece of content in partnership with a brand. So we do have that ability with creators and brand promotion. Sometimes that comes separately between the creator and the brand, and they do it on platform. Other times we are connecting those creators and brands ourselves. We also, have now added our product tagging tool where creators can mention a certain product or brand, and then they can also link an affiliate link. So in the US, we'll use the example of like the Amazon Associates program. They can add their affiliate link onto their recommendations. So they're actually earning a commission on qualifying purchases. So those are a few things that we've started to do. And then last October, we also announced that, later this year, we're going to be launching our creator rewards here in the US, with obviously plans to expand globally, but just looking at how can creators earn money on platform for contributing the content, the high quality, amazing content that they're already doing. And so really excited to share more about that soon. It's coming. We're so excited about it. And I feel like even in, the early feedback that we're getting, if I can share a little nugget, creators just feel like they're very much being seen here. They feel like it's a positive space for them to create. They believe that we're taking their feedback because we actually are, as you mentioned with the advisory council, we really treat our creator partners almost like consultants. So, instead of going to that third-party organization, we're working directly with our creators and compensating them. And so I think it's really important for how we are leading, in evolving this creator economy, that we're doing it side by side and hand in hand with our creators.
So one thing there's a quote in researching for this show, for this episode, I did a bunch of research, as mentioned earlier, and there's a protocol article, a great profile about Pinterest's, I guess, strategy in the creator space. And there's one line that kind of caught me, not by surprise, but caught my attention. And I was hoping you would be able to dissect this for me.
I can try.
But then also kind of go deeper into why is it that people don't talk, at least maybe it's the echo chamber that is Silicon Valley, or the echo chamber that is largely tech, that we do not talk enough about Pinterest. We talk a lot more about TikTok. We talk about YouTube. We talk about Instagram and Snap, because those are very heavily trafficked apps for creators and consumers, right? So the line I want to read you is, Pinterest is a place to go and find inspiration and go do something. Like, that's the secret sauce for Pinterest. So can you elaborate on that, or give us your thoughts on that, and then tell us why we should not be sleeping on Pinterest, and why is it actually a viable platform for all creators?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think, can you repeat the sentence again as well, just so I can hear it and I can dissect appropriately, please?
Sure. So I'm paraphrasing what's in this article. It says the secret behind Pinterest is allowing people to take action. Pinterest is a place to go and find inspiration and go do something.
Yes. Of course. And I think that, that notion and sentiment still feels the same. I think what has changed now is that our user behaviors, and where creators can find value in showing up on Pinterest is there is an audience who is intentionally searching to find those ideas and go do them. But we've developed such a culture through, creator culture and, internet culture that not only do they want to go and do it, but they want to see it in the moment in a bite-sized, snackable way, how to do it specifically. So they don't have to go to another place to figure out, scroll down. They want to see it in that moment. This is the idea I want to do, try, or buy. I want to know how it's going to work. I want you to tell me, and I'm going to go do it for myself. So I don't believe that sentiment has changed. I think people just want it in a more condensed way and in one place, and that place is still Pinterest.
So as you look at, how would you, for somebody that's being a creator and saying, hey, I want to find out where my community is, and obviously we're going to put our show onto YouTube, or we're going to do TikToks, or we're going to do Instagram, or on LinkedIn. What would you say to creators in terms of how they should evaluate Pinterest as a viable platform for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been, and it will continue to always be, about bringing inspiration and bringing those inspirations to life. Like, when we think about building a product at Pinterest, we really are thinking about creating an environment that is different, that is safe and positive, and it just enables you to be creative and productive. It's where we have always wanted to play. And as a creator, you can be a part of that inspiration. You can be a part of that safety and creativity. And we find that creators feel more fulfilled coming to Pinterest for their experience, because we're going beyond impressions, we're going beyond engagement, and we're not pressuring them to constantly create on Pinterest. So we recognize, that social media and creator burnout is so real, and the fatigue is a real thing among creators. And so we want them to just come here and be very deliberate in the work that they're creating and intentional with that central feeling of wanting to inspire.
So let's talk a little bit in terms of, like, can you elaborate on the types of creators that you're seeing? I imagine that a lot of the creators that you work with, your team works with, are probably more in like the lifestyle, arts and craft, food type of space. Am I kind of
Actually,
accurate?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Ken, that I really like that question, but something that came up just, I think, as you speak about inspiration, Alex, is just more, I guess, can you explain to us why, or like, I think inspiration is really important. I guess I'm kind of curious about Pinterest's point of view on inspiration, right? Because like, like other people build their house on like execution, or other people are on discovery, or all these other things, right? And Pinterest is unique, I think, in the world, or the ecosystem of things. And to Ken's point, I guess, in the types of people that maybe are drawn to it, right? Like, when you build an ecosystem around inspiration, right? Like, what does that mean, right? Like, and then like, what are the kinds of players that not only that are there now, but I guess that you hope to see more of, right? Like that enter the fray.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about building a platform or building an audience around inspiration, it's that you're really building that community. You're building a space for people to come, get those ideas, and be like, wait, not only do I want to do that, but I'm not going to scroll past it or skip past it or whatever. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to see exactly how to do it. But also, I feel safe enough in this environment to go out and try it myself. Maybe I want to share with this creator or on my own profile. Maybe I don't. But it really is about saying, hey, I'm coming here. I want to find something with intention, but I don't just want to find it and then forget about it. I want to actually sit here and feel like I can do that too. And even if I don't feel like I can do it, I feel like it's a safe enough environment that I'm going to try. That's really how I view and where I lead with inspiration with our creators. And, we can talk about a number of creators that we work with. We have one really great creator. Her name is Kelsey. She goes by the handle Olive and Brown. She really started focusing around like skincare and beauty routines for her skin tone and her skin type. But then it evolved into this evolution of her aligning with her community of, this underrepresented audience, where so for context, she's a Black creator, but where her underrepresented audience also felt like they were being seen. And so they would start contributing in the comments, asking her, can she talk about this? Can she do this type of routine? Has she ever tried this product? And it really is about building community because people feel safe to share that feedback on her platform. And then she can continue to evolve and grow her content. And since starting with Idea Pins last year, she's grown her following to over 11K on Pinterest. And I think that really speaks to the fact that it's this two-way street of community that you can build here through that inspiration.
So are there a lot of, kind of going back to an earlier question I asked, is what kinds of verticals of creators are you seeing on Pinterest? Are they largely more on the lifestyle, culture, fashion, food type of?
Yeah. I mean, we see a lot of food, of course, home decor, and then DIY as it pertains to home as well. And then we also see fashion and beauty really increasing. And, there used to be a ton of travel. I think that those behaviors might have shifted over the last couple of years. But really, I would say the food vertical, home, fashion, and beauty, and then wellness. So wellness is encompassing of everything from fitness to self-care and mental and emotional well-being. And then we also have really interesting subcultures, like Marvel, fairycore, goth. So there are also these interesting subcultures that we're actually starting to see come out in our trends too.
Are there any that kind of any of the, I guess let's talk specifically about the main categories.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any that kind of surprise you, like for example, like maybe business or sports or I don't know, something like that?
Something that's been very, and again, I feel like it goes back to what we've cultivated as a brand and an environment as a platform. We have a lot of like self-help and again, I'll use the general term wellness. That one really surprised me because we're not seeing predominantly the sort of fitness aspect when we think about wellness. A lot of it is around mental well-being, emotional well-being, and self-care and self-healing. And that to me has been very surprising. It's not surprising in the sense of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that there's all this content. I think it's surprising that people feel and they find success in building that type of community on Pinterest because, it is so visual. So whereas it's very easy to be like, oh, a food or home decor, it's very visual. It was surprising to me with wellness that was there because it's not as visual at first glance.
But it seems that the sort of idea pins, I think, if I look at the evolution from like outside, just seeing the parts that happened, there was first originally just sort of the, inspirational sort of pins. Then there was more of the commerce angle. The idea pins, I think, moves you further down the funnel, I guess, right towards, and I love this idea that the community is a feature, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Because that's somewhat different in other platforms to some degree, right? Because like a lot of them are like way more creator like centric, right? Like, you tune into a person on YouTube, right? And maybe you like the bozos in the comments and maybe you don't, right? But it seems like the idea pin sort of concept opens a new opportunity. So just going back to that kind of the idea, I guess, like, who are the creators you think should be leveraging like idea pins, maybe that aren't, or, that are maybe just an emerging group, or maybe like that, maybe haven't thought or realized that there's something here to leverage?
Okay, so there's two things that I want to say to that. Number one, to answer your question, I feel like what's been interesting, and we do have a lot of fashion and beauty creators, but I think there's still an area of opportunity for that creator segment to really develop and grow on Pinterest. And we see it, last year we were at New York Fashion Week in Spring Studios, and people are excited about Pinterest, but they're still learning that this behavior on Pinterest is shifting. And so we still have more work to do, letting people and creators specifically know that they can create on here. So I am very excited about that. And then specifically with men's fashion, men is one of our fastest growing audiences on the platform. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how that continues to grow. But then to your point of community building, the other thing that has always been there and has been so exciting for me is when I think about Pinterest analytics, because yes, we can see these are your sort of like top performing pins. Here's where people are thinking and where you should be leaning into your content. But we also have like our audience indexing tool, which shows you what your audience, the audience that is engaging with your pins, what they are looking at based on your content against content all across Pinterest. So, you could be a food creator, but people are really tapped into, the spatula that you're using or the place settings, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, oh, maybe there's an opportunity to tap into home and lifestyle in your content as well. So that's something I always love to tell our creators is get really in the weeds with the analytics, because there's so much there to discover. And I genuinely feel like that is not just something they can leverage on our platform, but across their entire digital toolkit.
Is Pinterest keen on following other social media platforms in terms of creator tools? You see, there's literally a train. Everyone is keeping with the Joneses these days in terms of these platforms. I think Snap does something, and then all of a sudden, Instagram and Facebook have those type of things. Now everyone has stories, and then TikTok does this, and then everyone has the same thing. Now everyone has social audio, live audio capabilities. Pinterest is like, you guys do you guys do you, and we're doing what we're doing. And it's a lot of the stuff that what Pinterest is doing, is it all behind the scenes versus like all the glamour and glitz of like, hey, we have these new features, we have this and this. Like, really, it's all all buried in the overall experience of Pinterest. That's where the power is, and that's where the innovation is really happening.
Yes, I mean, I think that you are right in that sense. And I would be remiss to, say, listen, like in terms of formatting, everything is shifting to full screen vertical video formatting. That's just become the standard. That's the way people are consuming content. Where we try to live is we really are trying to listen to our users. So, we have our browse tab and our watch tab, which gives the users the options to decide how they want to be inspired and how they want to consume content. But again, I really just go back to rooting it in the fact that at Pinterest, we're striving to be a more positive environment online. So when we're thinking about things, we think about things being inclusive. So we're building those tools like our hair pattern tool and skin tone range features. We've been building things like our creator code, which all creators have to sign. And it's essentially a commitment to kindness because we don't want people to be surrounded by negativity and comparison online. So I think that what we're doing, yes, follows the look and feel of the industry because industry standard becomes industry standard. But where we differentiate is that we really are building with this positive environment and with the creator's safety in mind for that.
And you beat me to the punch because I wanted to ask about that code because I found it very, very interesting. But I want to dive into setup. Like, let's talk more about how Pinterest is supporting creators. And I think the big thing everyone is doing these days are creator funds. And a lot of these platforms are investing millions of dollars into the tens of millions of dollars into this. Some of these efforts ultimately, like, they just die out after the first class and you're like, okay, wait, what's going on? Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And they're hit or miss largely. What's Pinterest's take on the creator fund? Because you have Pinterest has now done 2 classes, and
Yeah, my babies.
yeah, funny. It is not funny, but let me read, see if I can find. There's a stat I saw in a blog post that you wrote, that you co-authored. It said fund creators saw 2.9x more idea pins impressions and 72% more monthly viewers. Can you put that into perspective for our audience? Like, how significant is this? And then let's talk about the genesis of this creator fund.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to put it into perspective from a creator's perspective as well, it's extremely beneficial for them. I can't sit here and talk about benchmarks left, right, and center that happen behind the scenes. But what I can say, and again, thinking about a creator mindset, is that these creators that we've brought into the fund have been able to grow their, engagement on platform to a place where they are now partnering with brands outside of working with Pinterest. Some are earning up to 6 figures from working with Pinterest. And we are investing behind the scenes more in these opportunities. We're expanding the creator fund into other markets. We're expanding the ways that we allow creators to monetize with things like creator rewards, because we recognize that we want to grow that evolution for our creators. And so to put it into perspective, that is a starting point. It's extremely exciting to have that as a starting point, but there, of course, needs to be a continuity of evolution, or else we're all going to experience a drop off.
And then, so how was that impacted? So which actually came first, the creator code or the creator fund?
Oh, I'm trying to think now.
Because I think the creator code,
I think the creator fund came first, and then the creator code came shortly after.
So the whole,
maybe around the same time. I might have to get back to you on that specific answer.
So
you have a lifeline you can use to dial.
Let me phone a friend.
but like, was the whole point of the creator, the creator strategy for Pinterest has always been about positivity. I mean, that's something that has been resonant, that you've mentioned many times already. And then it's been codified in this code. And I think that is something that most platforms have taken a hands-off approach with, right? They're like, hey, you say what you want to say, you do what you want to do, unless it's harming other people, blah, blah, blah. But then they get into trouble. How is Pinterest able to keep the ecosystem so positive, so upbeat, or at least in that non-harmful manner?
To be perfectly blunt, I really think it comes down to the way people feel on Pinterest and how they come there. It's a little more personal. It's not as much like, look at me, look at this, look at that. It's really about discovery. And so I think because of the approach that our users, that our creators take on Pinterest, it's a different approach than on other platforms. And I think that in turn is translated into this more positive environment and space, and people buy into the things that we do, like a creator code, where we ask people to make that commitment before they get started creating, because they want to preserve that.
And then let's talk about, while we're running a little bit short on time here, why don't we talk about live shopping? Because I think that's a big part, social commerce rather. I think that's the parlance of tech these days. You start to see a lot of these in other platforms, but Pinterest kind of really has it all set and has the foundation already set, like from its very beginning 11 years ago, right? I mean, it's not only you've had what are there, I think my terminology might be wrong, but like sponsored pins, or was that one of sponsored pins, right? So advertisers could pay to have their merch bought online through Pinterest, and now is Pinterest allowing creators to do something similar within like the ideas pins and everything like that? And can you elaborate a little bit more in terms of what kind of updates can we see from Pinterest as it relates to social commerce in the future?
Of course, yes. And I'm so excited to talk about this because, as you said, Pinterest has really always been about shopping, but what shopping means on Pinterest is a little bit different. And, we go back to the fact that it's not just about buying the product. It's the moments before, it's the research, it's the study, the trying something. And now really it's that recommendation from a trusted creator before they make that purchasing decision. So one of the things we launched last December, which is super exciting for me, is that we announced Pinterest TV. It's a series of live original content. It really started as a place for creators to share their ideas for others to kind of like learn alongside them, or for them to teach. But it quickly evolved into a shoppable functionality because people really recognize that, this is somewhere where, again, as I mentioned, I don't want you to just tell me how to do it. I want to know exactly where to get what you're holding in your hand. I want to do it step by step alongside you. I want everything the same, because I want the outcome to be exactly the same as what you're showing me. Or I at least want to try for that. And so it really evolved quickly into shoppable episodes where people can actually make or purchase the items that they're seeing. Here it's in the US right now. We have Monday through Friday episodes airing at 3 p.m. Pacific. There's different products that drop in that live shopping setting where pinners can take advantage of discounts from the brands. They can get first look, things like that. And it really is just this powerful opportunity for new or smaller creators to kickstart their following on Pinterest, and for larger creators to grow their audience base. And then also the power of social commerce, which is not going away, and how we can evolve alongside that developing trend as well.
Do you anticipate allowing other creators out who might not be able to participate in Pinterest TV to do their own, to create their own version of QVC on Pinterest? Like maybe have a live streaming type of capability within Pinterest, so they can say, hey, here's how I view, here's how I do like men's fashion, or here's how I do home decor, those type of things. So it's basically you are creating a mini Discovery Channel type of HGTV Food Network type of scenario within the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been privy to any conversations about that, so I can't speak to it, but that's a really cool idea. I think that almost sounds like a marriage of where we're going with our product tagging function, where you can use affiliate links on recommendations and Pinterest TV. Like, is there a world where we marry those two? I think that's a very good question, but I sadly do not have an answer to that one. But I might just take that away with me.
This is being recorded, so therefore I will be like, hey, if I expect credit from this. But, I mean, Greg, do you have any other questions for Alex?
No, I guess you're kind of touching on it a little bit here, but just what do you think is what do you think is the future for the creator economy at large, I guess, right? Just in general, you're a creator yourself. Like new opportunities that you sort of see on the horizon, and then maybe any of those that you see sort of emerging in the Twitter, in the Pinterest ecosystem. Because I know, like Amazon's making a hard push for Amazon Live, right? I use the service called Kit, to like put together like hey, here's a list of things. But I feel like Pinterest is kind of this interesting convergence of like those two things together. But yeah, I guess as a creator yourself, what do you see? What do you feel the prospects are? Do you think it's getting better? Is it getting worse? And is there anything in particular you're excited about, as you look forward?
I mean, from a creator perspective, I think there's a couple of things. Just on creators and spending time online from that perspective, I do feel like there is going to be this richer appetite for a more positive community-based platform. And that's why I feel so passionate about where I work and what I wake up and do every single day, because I see sometimes there is this like witch hunt mindset in comments, in, how people react to creators, to virality, that is really, just difficult and nasty to swallow, that I feel like people will very quickly grow tired of those behaviors. And I'm hoping that we do see this shift across the industry where people are trying to be more mindful. And, as this, Gen Z and younger are growing up with social media, they start to create and change their behaviors to be more positive and more open in the things they're commenting, what they're sharing, how, et cetera. So from a creator standpoint and from an industry standpoint, I hope that shift that I feel I'm starting to see continues. I think from a creator standpoint in where we can evolve, I mean, the world of like augmented reality. So everything from like, we have try on at Pinterest, or I know that there are other platforms that have augmented reality as well, but just elevating that, shopping experience with that reality, elevating your taste and style. I think that can be a really interesting way to evolve into the future as we become more and more integrated with the internet and with social media culture.
On that point is, I think, currently in the creator economy space, brand deals are the main way for creators to make money. Is that like, how is Pinterest helping kind of connect the dots? And I know tomorrow, Pinterest has Pinterest Presents.
Mm-hmm.
It's an advertiser focused event, where the whole point is to educate advertisers on on how to reach creators. So, is there anything from that or from that you can share that kind of say this is how you are connecting, how Pinterest is helping to optimize brand deals with creators? And then secondly, talk in terms of any thoughts on like Web3 NFT integrations within Pinterest. I think that's something, might as well ask while as
Of
it relates
course.
to creator economy.
I mean, the fast and short answer to that one is we are talking about it, but we're talking about it. I don't have, it's nothing, no pen to paper. It's just, let's all, is this an interesting space? We're having water cooler fodder over it, let's say for now, is where we're coming from on the creator side, at least. I think in terms of tomorrow with Pinterest Predicts, again, I am tuning in just as everyone else is because it's an advertiser side. I wasn't privy to building that out, though what I've seen looks very beautiful. But I think we can kind of end where I started, right? I've seen this evolution of the creator space from businesses, users, audiences not giving creators the time of day. There was, this isn't going anywhere, et cetera, to now a place where they are front and center in the conversation of how they reach their audience, how brands reach their audience, how advertisers can reach their audiences. And so it really comes down to, there is a world where this is all going to come together and creators are going to be at the center of that. And I think that we are almost at that place, if not right there. And I'm excited to see how that plays into, again, I can go on a tangent on this for hours, but like we've seen creators come in and be creative directors of companies. We've seen them do brand collaborations. There is this immersion of the idea of a creator having so much influence and value in their audience that putting them front and center as the face of a brand, as a creative director of a brand in collaboration with the brand, drives sales. And so it's a very interesting evolution from when I started. And I think there's way more to go.
Cool. Well, Alexandra, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the hour to talk just specifically about your role. Now we can spend the next hour talking about what your interest is doing in the creator economy. Just kidding. But Alexandra, is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up the show? Anything about how people could reach you, keep in touch, learn more about what Pinterest is doing in the creator economy space?
Yeah, of course. I mean, my handle is there at Lex Nico. If anyone wants to get in touch about creators or Pinterest, feel free to reach out. And then, I mean, I'm going to use this last 30 seconds to just plug PinterestPredicts.com. Like, again, as an insights and trends geek, like that is such an untapped resource, especially for creators. So check it out, take a look at it, and have some fun.
Well, and plug your podcast.
Oh, yes, I have a podcast. It's called One Last Thing. It's a pop culture podcast. And
we don't want you on our trivia against us in our trivia night.
Oh no, it's almost too much. I could be my own team, I'm sure.
By the way, I was gonna make a comment that we do feel slighted that you don't have the fancy microphone out for us.
Oh, I know, but you know what? I don't know. I can only hook that up to do the podcast. I don't know how to hook it up to. I am a one-woman show on the podcast. I don't even know how to extract a Zoom if I had a guest. It's very sad.
Ken is a one-person show also.
So you can go to Pinterest, and then I'm sure you can find a creator that can be.
I know.
There's an idea out there for you, I think. Yeah.
I shouldn't be a part of the creator fund and just be like, hey, this is literally, I just need to help Alexandra out. Like, I'm doing pins just
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
By the way, I will be at LA, I think, at the end of the month for NFT LA. So hopefully we'll see
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Send me a note. I would love to hang out.
Happy to come and talk to Pinterest about Web3 and why they need to hurry up and do it.
Love that. Thank you so much.
One consulting call at this point. All right. We're throwing out ideas for new programs and strategies.
It's amazing. This is what we love. We're a collaborative platform.
Clickbait. That's what it is. Clickbait. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alexandra, for joining us. We look forward to hearing. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us again soon.
Of course, I would love to.
Looking forward to hearing more about Pinterest in the future. All right.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Bye, everyone.